My brother held my economy ticket between two fingers, like it was something dirty. We were standing in the check-in area at Los Angeles International Airport, early morning light streaming through the tall windows. Our whole family was there, ready to fly to Hawaii for our parents' 40th wedding anniversary. Derek smirked at me, his voice dripping with that familiar condescension I had known my entire life. "This is all you can handle, right?" I did not argue. I never did. When I stepped up to scan my ID, the screen suddenly flashed red. The agent gasped. "Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. If you have ever felt overlooked or underestimated by someone close to you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you will want to see how this story unfolds. To understand that moment at the airport, you need to know something about my brother and me. Derek is 4 years older than I am. Growing up in our small town in Ohio, he was always the golden child, the one our parents talked about at dinner parties, the one relatives asked about first at every family gathering. Derek stood 6 feet 2 inches tall by the time he was 16. He had the kind of athletic build that made coaches notice him across a crowded gym. He played basketball, ran track, dated the prettiest girls in school. His report cards went straight onto the refrigerator door. His trophies filled an entire shelf in the living room. Me, I was different. Shorter, quieter, more interested in books and computers than sports and parties. While Derek was out winning games under Friday night lights, I was in my room teaching myself how to code. Our parents did not hate me. They never treated me badly in any obvious way. But attention is a finite resource in a family, and Derek consumed most of it. I still remember my high school graduation day with painful clarity. I was 18 years old, sitting in a sea of caps and gowns, scanning the crowd for my parents' faces. The ceremony started. Names were called. When they announced my name, I walked across that stage alone. My parents arrived 20 minutes after I had already received my diploma. They had been at Derek's college basketball game 3 hours away. He was not even playing that day. He was on the bench with a sprained ankle. But they went anyway. That night, my mother apologized while reheating leftover lasagna. "You understand, right? Luke, Derek needed us there for support." I said I understood. I always said I understood. Now, at 32 years old, Derek works as a sales manager at a real estate company in San Diego. He makes decent money, probably around $90,000 a year. But you would think he was a millionaire based on how he acts. He married Amanda 3 years ago, the daughter of a well-off family who owns several car dealerships in Southern California. Amanda's parents bought them a nice condo in a gated community. They lease a BMW that they definitely cannot afford on their own. Every weekend, their social media fills up with photos from expensive restaurants and beach resorts. Derek has this way of offering advice to everyone around him, especially me. Unsolicited advice about my career, my apartment, my car, my entire life. He speaks with the confidence of someone who has never questioned whether he deserves his success. The Hawaii trip was supposed to be a celebration of our parents' 40 years of marriage. About 3 months ago, Derek announced on Facebook that he was organizing the whole thing. A week in Maui, a fancy hotel, a special anniversary dinner at a 5-star restaurant overlooking the ocean. The comments poured in. "What a wonderful son, so generous. Your parents must be so proud." When it came time to distribute the plane tickets, Derek handled it with his usual flair for drama. He gathered us all at our parents' house, printed boarding passes in hand, like he was giving out awards. "Mom, Dad, you are sitting in business class with Amanda and me," he announced, beaming. "You deserve to travel in comfort." Then he turned to me, holding out a single sheet of paper. "Luke, here is yours. Economy. I figured you would not mind. You are still young. You can handle the cramped seats." Amanda laughed that light, dismissive laugh she uses whenever I am around. Our mother looked at the floor. Our father suddenly became very interested in his phone. Nobody said a word in my defense. I took the ticket. I said, "Thank you." Because that is what I always do. The morning of the flight, we all met at LAX at 5:30 a.m. Derek showed up dressed like he was heading to a business meeting instead of a vacation. He wore a fitted navy suit, a silver watch, with a face the size of a small clock, and shoes so shiny I could see my reflection in them. I knew the watch was fake because I had seen the real version once in a store window in New York. It cost more than his annual salary. Amanda walked beside him, pulling a Louis Vuitton carry-on suitcase. The hardware was slightly off the kind of detail you only notice if you know what to look for. Outlet store purchase, probably bought on sale, definitely presented as the real thing. Meanwhile, I had shown up in jeans and a gray t-shirt, carrying a backpack I had owned since college. Derek spotted me from across the terminal and waved me over with the enthusiasm of a king summoning a servant. "Luke, come here, we are taking a family photo before we board." I walked over to where they stood, near the business class check-in counter. Derek immediately grabbed the economy ticket from my back pocket, holding it up between his thumb and index finger like it was contaminated. "Look at this," he said, loud enough for the people around us to hear. "This is all you can handle, right, little brother? Do not worry, economy class has improved a lot. I hear they even give you peanuts now." Amanda giggled. "At least he gets to come along. Some people cannot even afford to fly." I felt my jaw tighten, but I kept my expression neutral. I had learned long ago that reacting only made things worse. Derek fed on reactions the way some people feed on compliments. Our mother stood a few feet away, clutching her purse eyes fixed on the departure board. Our father coughed and muttered something about finding coffee. Neither of them told Derek to stop. Neither of them ever did. Standing there in that airport, surrounded by strangers rushing to their gates, I found myself drifting back through years of similar moments. The pattern was so familiar, it had become almost invisible, like wallpaper you stop noticing after living in a house long enough. I remembered being 16, working double shifts at a grocery store all summer long. Stocking shelves, mopping floors, hauling boxes in the August heat. By September, I had saved enough to buy my first laptop. It was not fancy, just a basic model I found on sale, but it was mine. I had earned every dollar. When I brought it home, Derek laughed so hard he nearly choked on his soda. "That piece of junk. What are you going to do with that? Play video games in your room like a loser?" Our parents said nothing. They were too busy admiring the new car Derek had gotten as a graduation gift. A car they paid for, not him. That laptop, the one Derek mocked, became my entire future. I taught myself programming on that machine. I built my first website, wrote my first lines of code, discovered a world where being quiet and analytical was an advantage, not a weakness. Then there was Derek's wedding 5 years ago. I assumed I would be a groomsman. He was my only brother, after all. But when the wedding party was announced, my name was not on the list. Derek had chosen 4 college friends instead. When I asked him about it later, he shrugged. "Come on, Luke. You know how these things work. The groomsmen need to match the aesthetic. You would have looked out of place." Out of place. At my own brother's wedding. Amanda's bridesmaids included 2 women she had met only 6 months before. But I was out of place. The worst memory, though, was from 3 years ago. Our father got sick. Really sick. The doctors found something in his lungs that required immediate surgery. The operation alone would cost over $150,000, and that was before the hospital stay, the rehabilitation, the follow-up treatments. Derek called me the night we got the diagnosis. His voice was strained, stressed, almost panicked. "Luke, I do not know what we are going to do. I am completely tapped out. I just invested everything in this new real estate opportunity. I cannot pull the money out." I told him not to worry. I told him I would handle it. 2 weeks later, our father had his surgery at one of the best hospitals in Los Angeles. The total cost came to just over $200,000. I paid every cent. When Dad recovered, when he was back home, and healthy and grateful to be alive, Derek posted on Facebook about how blessed their family was. "We really came together in a crisis," he wrote. So grateful we could take care of Dad." The comments were full of praise for Derek, the devoted eldest son. I never corrected the record. I never told anyone the truth. What would have been the point? Here is what nobody in my family knows about me. After graduating from college with a degree in computer science, I took a job at a small tech startup in San Francisco. The pay was modest, the hours were brutal, but I learned more in 2 years than most people learn in 10. At 25, I left that job to start my own company with 2 friends from college. We built software that used artificial intelligence to help businesses manage their customer service. For 3 years, we worked out of a tiny apartment, eating ramen noodles and sleeping on air mattresses. Then, when I was 28, a major tech company made us an offer. They wanted to buy our startup for $47 million. After the lawyers finished, after the taxes were paid, after my partners got their shares, I walked away with a little over $15 million in my bank account. I did not buy a mansion. I did not buy a sports car. I did not post about it on social media or tell anyone in my family. I bought a modest apartment in a quiet neighborhood. I kept driving my 8-year-old Honda Accord. I invested most of the money, including a significant stake in United Airlines. And quietly, without telling anyone, I started taking care of my family. I paid off the remaining mortgage on my parents' house. $180,000 gone in a single wire transfer. I set up a monthly deposit into their bank account, labeled as retirement benefits, so they would not ask questions. When my niece, Emma Derek's daughter, needed to attend a private school with a special program for gifted students, I covered the tuition. Derek thinks she got a scholarship. He brags about how smart she is, how she earned her spot on merit. And this trip to Hawaii, the luxury hotel, the anniversary dinner, the business class tickets, Derek is so proud of. I paid for all of it, every single dollar. Derek handled the booking because I asked a travel agent friend to suggest the idea to him. I wanted him to feel important. I thought maybe if he felt successful, he would stop needing to tear me down. I was wrong about that, but I tried. After Derek finished mocking my economy ticket, I walked over to the regular check-in counter. The line was shorter than I expected, just a few people ahead of me scrolling through their phones. When I reached the front, a young agent named Jessica smiled and asked for my identification. She had bright red hair, pulled back in a ponytail, and the kind of customer service cheerfulness that suggested she actually enjoyed her job. I handed over my ID. She scanned it. The screen flashed red. Not a soft red, not an error message red, but a deep, urgent crimson that made Jessica's eyes go wide. A special tone sounded different from the usual beeps and boops of airport machinery. "Sir," she said, her voice suddenly uncertain, "could you please wait one moment?" From 20 feet away, I heard Derek's laugh. "What did I tell you? Cheap tickets always have problems. Should have let me book everything, Luke." Jessica picked up a phone and spoke quickly into it. Within 30 seconds, a man in a dark suit appeared beside her. His name tag read Robert, and his title identified him as a senior customer experience manager. Robert looked at the screen. Then he looked at me. His expression shifted from confusion to recognition, to something that looked almost like reverence. "Mr. Harrison," he said, his voice dropping to a respectful near whisper. "Mr. Luke Harrison." "Yes." "Sir, would you please come with me?" Derek was already walking toward us, Amanda trailing behind him. "What is going on? Is there a problem with his ticket? I can help sort this out." Robert held up a hand, polite but firm. "Sir, this is a private matter. Please return to your check-in area." "But he is my brother. I am sure whatever the issue is—" "Sir." Robert's tone left no room for argument. "Please." Derek stopped. For once in his life, he had no clever comeback. Robert led me through a door I had never noticed before, down a quiet hallway, and into a lounge that looked like it belonged in a 5-star hotel. Leather chairs, soft lighting a bar, with a bartender who nodded at me like he had been expecting my arrival. "Mr. Harrison," Robert said, gesturing for me to sit. I apologize for any confusion at the counter. The red screen alert is triggered for our highest tier members. You are a global services member, one of only about 10,000 people worldwide who hold that status with United Airlines. I nodded. I had earned that status through years of travel for business, plus the fact that I owned a substantial number of shares in the company. Additionally, Robert continued, our system flagged you as a major shareholder. We are deeply honored to have you flying with us today. He paused, checking his tablet. I see here that you booked an economy ticket, but of course your usual seat in Polaris First Class is available and has been prepared. I also notice that you arranged for 2 passengers, a Mr. and Mrs. Harrison, to be upgraded to first class as well. Should I process those upgrades now? Yes, I said. Those are my parents. Please move them to first class. But do not tell them who arranged it. I will explain everything myself. Robert nodded. Of course, sir. And your brother and his wife. They are currently booked in business class. Would you like them upgraded as well? I thought about it for a moment. Derek sitting in first class, probably claiming he had arranged it somehow, taking credit for something he had nothing to do with. No, I said. Leave their seats as they are. Understood, sir. When I walked back out into the main terminal, my family was standing in a tight cluster near the departure board. Derek spotted me first. Finally, he said. What was that all about? Some kind of security issue? No security issue, I said calmly. I am flying first class. So are Mom and Dad. Derek blinked. What? First class. Polaris. The cabin at the front of the plane, with the seats that turn into beds. I know what first class is, Derek snapped. How are you? You cannot afford. He stopped. Something in my expression must have made him reconsider finishing that sentence. Derek, I said, keeping my voice steady. Who do you think paid for this trip? What do you mean I organized everything? I booked the hotel, the dinner, the flights. You booked them. I paid for them. Every dollar. The hotel suite with the ocean view. The anniversary dinner at the restaurant you have been posting about for weeks. The business class tickets you are so proud of. I paid for all of it. Silence. Amanda's face went pale. I continued. Do you remember when Dad was sick? When he needed surgery? And you said you could not help because your money was tied up in investments. Derek did not answer. I paid for that surgery. $200,000. I paid off Mom and Dad's mortgage too. And Emma's private school, the one you think gave her a scholarship, I pay that tuition every semester. Our mother had tears streaming down her face. Luke, why did you never tell us? Because I did not do it for credit, Mom. I did it because you are my family. I did not need Derek to thank me. I did not need anyone to know. I took a breath. I just wanted you to be okay. Our father stepped forward. He looked older than I remembered, smaller. Somehow like the weight of this revelation had physically diminished him. He wrapped his arms around me in a hug, the kind of hug he had never given me before, not even when I was a child. I am sorry, he said, his voice cracking. I spent so many years looking at the wrong sun. I am so sorry, Luke. Derek stood, frozen, his expensive fake watch glinting under the airport lights. Amanda would not meet anyone's eyes. The foundation of their carefully constructed image had just crumbled, and there was nothing either of them could say to rebuild it. The flight to Hawaii was 6 hours long. I spent most of it sitting between my parents in the first-class cabin, watching clouds drift past the window like slow-moving dreams. My mother held my hand for the first hour, not saying much, just holding on like she was afraid I might disappear. Finally, she spoke. Why did you never tell us, Luke? All these years, everything you did, why keep it secret? I thought about the question for a long moment before answering. Because I did not do it for recognition, Mom. I did it because I love you. Love is not supposed to be a transaction. You do not help your family, so they will think better of you. You help them because that is what family means. My father, who had been pretending to read a magazine, set it down and turned to face me. "I wasted so much time," he said quietly. "I spent years comparing you to your brother. Derek was loud, confident, always demanding attention. I thought that meant he was the successful one. I thought success looked like him." He shook his head. "I was blind, Luke. I looked right at you and never saw who you really were." I felt something shift inside my chest. A knot that had been there for as long as I could remember began to loosen. It was not because my father apologized. It was because, for the first time in my life, he actually saw me. "It is okay, Dad," I said. "We cannot change the past. We can only decide what comes next." Derek stayed in business class for the entire flight. Amanda sat beside him, but from what I could see when I walked to the bathroom, they were not speaking. Their phones were out their eyes, fixed on screens, a wall of silence between them. When we landed in Maui, the warm Hawaiian air wrapped around us like a welcome. Our hotel was everything the brochure promised: white sand beaches, swaying palm trees, rooms with balconies overlooking water, so blue it looked artificial. That first evening, I stood alone on my balcony, watching the sun melt into the Pacific Ocean. The sky turned orange, then pink, then a deep purple that seemed to hold all the colors of the day inside it. I heard footsteps behind me. Derek. He looked different than he had at the airport. Smaller somehow. The confidence that usually surrounded him like armor had fallen away, leaving something raw and uncertain in its place. "I do not know what to say," he admitted, leaning against the balcony railing. "I have been a terrible brother. I know that now." I did not rush to reassure him. I did not say, "It is fine," or "Do not worry about it," or any of the easy phrases that would let him off the hook. Instead, I told him the truth. "Yeah, you have been. For a long time." He flinched, but he did not argue. "I am not doing this to punish you, Derek. I did not reveal everything at the airport to humiliate you. I searched for the right words. I wanted you to see me. Really see me for once in your life. Not as your little brother who cannot handle things. Not as the family afterthought. Just as me." Derek was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. "I do not know how to fix this. I do not even know where to start." "That is okay," I said. "You do not have to fix everything tonight, but you can start by being honest, with yourself, with Amanda, with Mom and Dad. Stop pretending to be something you are not. You do not need to impress anyone. You just need to be real." He nodded slowly, like he was processing each word individually. "I will try," he said. "I do not know if I know how to be different, but I will try." It was not a perfect apology. It was not a complete reconciliation. But it was a beginning, and beginnings are sometimes the hardest part. Later that night, after everyone else had gone to bed, I walked down to the beach. The sand was cool beneath my feet, the waves gentle and rhythmic, like the ocean was breathing. I thought about my journey, the years of being overlooked, the silent work of building something from nothing, the choice to help my family without asking for anything in return. I did not become successful to prove anything to Derek or anyone else. I worked hard because that is who I am. I helped my family because I love them, not because I wanted them to finally notice me. And here is what I learned. The value of a person is not measured by what they show the world. It is measured by what they do when nobody is watching. The strongest people do not need to announce their strength. They just live it quietly, consistently, without expecting applause. That red screen at the airport did not change who I am. It just showed others what I already knew about myself. Sometimes the people who seem to have the least are actually carrying the most. And maybe that is okay. Maybe that is exactly how it should be. Because real strength is not about proving yourself to others. It is about being at peace with who you are, regardless of whether anyone else understands. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been underestimated by someone in your family only to prove them wrong in your own quiet way? Share your story in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future stories. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message today, share this video with them. Sometimes a single story can change how we see ourselves and the people around us. Thank you for being here with me today. Wherever you are in the world, whatever challenges you are facing, I hope you remember this. Your worth is not determined by who notices you. It is determined by who you choose to be. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.